and welcome to Temple Update. I'm Victoria Lim.
And I'm Chris O'Connell.
Rutgers University and the University of Pittsburgh joined the growing list of schools being investigated by 2 federal agencies for the misuse of government grants. A congressional probe at Stanford University last month uncovered the use of research funds for questionable items, such as a yacht and a shopping center. Since then, several other schools have been under scrutiny, including the University of Pennsylvania and 16 other institutions of higher education.
Critics are speaking out against university officials who prohibit alcohol on college campuses. Drew Hunter, executive director of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, says prohibiting alcohol will encourage students to drive off campus and perhaps cause more alcohol-related deaths. Such fatalities are the #1 case of deaths among 15 to 24-year-olds.
Temple University spokeswoman is moving on. Kathy Gosseliner is the new director of development at the Free Library of Philadelphia. From the bitter teachers' strike to development at Temple Hospital, Gosseliner has had a part in it all. She was also in charge of the Temple News Bureau and public relations for the Health Sciences and Ambler campuses. Gosseliner says she will miss the people the most.
Whenever there's been a major project that has demanded all my attention, there have been innumerable people I could turn to and really count on.
Do you have any? Gosseliner came to Temple in 1983 as the director of communications. We at Temple Update wish her well in her new job.
Fundraising groups will be allowed to compete for contributions from the University of Pennsylvania employees. Until last year, the United Way of Southeastern Pennsylvania held a monopoly on charitable solicitations. Penn President Sheldon Hackney says the effort will give all qualifying federations equal consideration under the Penn's Way banner.
While applications at many predominantly white private schools have dropped, black colleges are booming. Black students seeking strong academic programs and a sense of shared community are flooding historically black colleges like Morehouse College, Lincoln University, and Cheyney University. Education officials say aggressive marketing, national publicity, and TV shows like A Different World and The Cosby Show are contributing to the trend.
The Community College of Philadelphia has mailed certificates of admission to nearly 9,000 high school seniors in the Philadelphia School District. School officials say it's an effort to encourage more city high school students to continue their education. In 1989, only 52% of Philadelphia's high school graduates went on to college.
Do you ever wish you invented the slinky, the hula hoop, or the slap bracelet? As Update's Erica Hedden reports, you still have a chance if you put your mind to it.
If you're interested in what's hot in the 90s, you were probably at the Franklin Institute's 4th annual Fad Fair. 30 inventors from across the country came to exhibit their wares. One item targets the college market. It's a game you may remember from high school.
Tabletop football, we call flickball. Every grade school kid knows that he can take a piece of paper and fold it up into this triangle shape and slide it along the table for touchdowns and do the extra point by flicking the ball between his fingers and through a goalpost to score the extra points.
And if you're looking for a more active sport, try squid.
A game we designed called Squid. It's basically a combination of frisbee, paddleball, darts, and badminton.
The Fad Fair also featured young inventors.
At my school, we had a whole bunch of people, and then we just entered. We just made inventions, and then we entered them, and then we got letters back, and then they said that they wanted me to come here with some of my friends.
Some items were for the practical-minded.
It's on a rubber glove, so when you wash it, it's easier. And when you want to wring it out, you just do that, and the water comes off.
You only have to apply a small amount of force. Instead of like normal chopsticks, you have a real hard time. So this makes it a lot easier.
Most were just for fun.
The latest in home security devices. You live in a dorm, you live in a small apartment. You're not allowed to have a guard dog, yet you're concerned about the growing crime problem. What do you do? What do you do? Right. You get yourself a little puppy or a kitten from the pound and one of these. This is
the Dober mask. You put it over the head of your cat or puppy. Right? Burglar comes by your window may vary in size, by the way. This is a cartoon representation of your window. Looks in. Yikes! See how effective that is?
Novelty items were a big part of the show.
I make Zoids and Stickity Doodads, which are the original thick stickers.
It's just a novelty toy called Boinks, and you compress it in your hand like this, and it shoots.
Fad fashions can dress you from the tip of your toes to the top of your head.
You just race off like this, and you can write something else crazy on there, like the Ninja Turtles are awesome, or Cowabunga Dude, or...
You may have missed this year's Fad Fair, but don't worry, there's always next year. So put on your thinking caps. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Erica Hedden.
Bottled water drinkers could be going to the tap. The Food and Drug Administration reports bottled water may contain levels of contamination not even allowed in public drinking water. The investigation comes after cancer-causing materials were found in Perrier water in 1989. FDA Representative Fred Shank says 22 contaminated bottled water products were recalled in 1990. U.S. bottled water consumption quadrupled in the last 10 years to nearly 1.7 billion gallons last year.
The city's budget crisis has affected many aspects of Philadelphia. Lisa Conway reports on how cutbacks have affected one of the city's recreation areas.
Philadelphia's Fairmount Park is one of the largest park systems in the world. It was established in 1867 and is actually a collection of more than 60 parks, totaling almost 9,000 acres. The park serves as a recreational area for citizens and tourists. Such a large park demands a great deal of maintenance. Maintenance requires funds. Fairmount Park receives most of its funding from the city. Due to the city budget crisis, park officials have been forced to cut back. Park officials estimate they'll lose more than $1 million in funding for 1992. That could mean layoffs for some of the park's 300 full-time workers. Swimming pools will open later and close earlier this year. The lawns are mowed less frequently, and the trash is collected less often. Officials have turned to private donors to maintain the various buildings in the park. William Mifflin, executive director of the Fairmount Park Commission, says opening a part of the park to developers may solve the revenue problem.
Some would shudder at that we would consider using a part of open space for some type of development. But quite frankly, I think that the utilization of development and developers is a thing of the future and should not be totally rejected out of hand.
Mifflin says the park adds a quality of life that attracts businesses, and development would aid preservation of the park. Without additional revenue, Fairmount Park, as Philadelphians know it, may not exist much longer. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Lisa Conway.
A new study by the RAND Corporation reveals 41 million people in the U.S. are injured by accidents every year. An estimated 1 in 6 Americans will seek medical attention due to accidents next year. This costs Americans over $176 billion per year in medical expenses. Home activities account for 23% of the accidents, 21% are job-related, and 15% are caused by recreation. Now to our sports desk with Mr. Scott Stevens. Scott, spring sports are winding down now as the year's coming to an end.
Yeah, they're winding down, and the baseball team's is rising and playing good ball. The men's baseball team erupted for 68 runs in 7 games last week to improve to 16 up, 13 down, and 2 ties overall. They lead the Atlantic 10 division in the Eastern Division with an 8-4 record. The Owls are led by sophomore outfielder Bob Higginson, who exploded for 4 home runs, including 2 grand slams. He was named the Atlantic 10 Player of the Week after he drove in 19 runs and hit safely in all 7 games. Senior pitcher Carl Majeski continues to overpower his foes by throwing strikes. Majeski leads the Atlantic 10 in strikeouts with 62 and leads the team in wins with 6. The Owls are in the midst of a 7-game road trip and return home April 24th to host Navy. The gymnastics season may be over, but for a few Owls, there's another chance for them to shine. Updates Adam Serkin reports.
Topping off a successful season and an EIGL championship, 3 Owl gymnasts have qualified for the individual competition at the NCAA championships being held at Penn State. Lone senior Anthony Galasso, qualifying for his 3rd time, will compete on the vault. Jim Vandezilver, a returning All-American, will compete on the rings, and Eben Grayman, defending EIGL vault and floor champion, will compete on the vault and pommel horse. Coach Turoff is optimistic that all 3 gymnasts will do well.
Well, I certainly think that Jim Vandersilver is a sure finalist and hopefully a champion, barring any unforeseen maladies with his routine. Whereas Eben and Tony certainly have an outside chance at getting in to the finals and possibly being All-Americans. So.
One Owl gymnast who will not be competing is Bill Roth. Roth, the team's leading gymnast, injured himself during the season.
The fact that he's missing the NCAA championship this week is very sad for us because he was a potential national champion in 3 different areas and maybe some more.
Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Adam Serkin.
In women's lacrosse, the Lady Owls began the week by dropping their 2nd straight game in a row, an 8-5 loss to Princeton. However, the Owls bounced back with a 10-7 win over Delaware. Freshman Carrie Paul had 4 goals and 1 assist against the Blue Hens. Temple came within inches of upsetting number 2 Virginia in their final home appearance, but fell short 5-4. Temple played the last 3 minutes without All-American Jane Catanzaro, who was ejected after receiving her 2nd yellow card for rough play. Temple got a big game out of freshman Carrie Paul against Lehigh. She scored 6 goals, and they beat the Engineers 13-5. The Owls improved their record to 5-5 on the season. Temple must win their next 2 games to make the playoffs for the 9th consecutive year. Freshman Jeff Daniels established yet another all-time record in the triple jump. Daniels set the record with a jump of 50 feet 10 inches at the 25th annual Dogwood Relays held at the University of Tennessee. The freshman has previously broken the old mark twice, set by John Wade's leap of 50 feet 1 3/4 inches set in 1982. In women's track, the Lady Owls had 2 runners qualify for the ECAC Outdoor Championships last weekend. Junior Monica Ellis and sophomore Mary Bearden qualified to compete in the 400-meter hurdles. It's another illustrious honor for a Temple senior athlete. Updates April Ennis reports.
All-American Jane Catanzaro has won the 1990-91 Honda Field Hockey Award and is a finalist for the Honda Broderick Cup, an award given annually to the nation's top female athlete. The outstanding senior became the NCAA's all-time leading scorer last season with 117 goals. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm April Ennis.
The men's and women's crew team rode to a combined 5th place last weekend at the George Washington Invitational Crew Classic. The race was won by the Midshipmen of Navy for the 2nd consecutive year with a total of 68 points. In the feature race, Temple's Varsity 8 placed 2nd behind the powerful Navy shell with a time of 5 minutes and 52 seconds. The Owls will host the Murphy Cup this Saturday on the Schuylkill River. Prior to the race, the men's team was dedicated a shell in the name of Thomas Bear Kern, the crew team's first head coach. They called it the fight of the century, and its celebration turned out to be a night to remember. Updates Denise Haley reports.
For years, professional boxing has played a major role in Philadelphia sports. And recently, 2 former heavyweight champions, Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, were reunited to commemorate the 20th anniversary of their first fight. It was March 8, 1971, when the Matador, Ali, and the Bull, Frazier, stepped into the ring at Madison Square Garden for the first of 3 memorable fights.
So I'm very happy to be here on this occasion as we celebrate 2 of the great and authentic prize fighters of our lifetime. But even more than that, 2 of the significant social and constitutional law figures of our lifetime.
The $250 a plate dinner attracted a who's who from the sports and entertainment world. And those who attended the extravagant affair dug deep into their pockets because the focus of the festivities and its proceeds will benefit our future.
We going to take time and stop and think about our kids, because we don't plan on doing something for them, not tomorrow. I mean, now.
I'm so happy to see these warriors extend themselves, because so many of our modern day heroes are trying to do it through corporations, and you can't do it through corporations. You have to get down in those communities, down in those ghettos, touch those kids, and form your companies from that and your organizational contributions through that. So I'm very happy to see them spearheading the way.
The anniversary gala, spearheaded by Morris Frazier and Jacqueline Frazier Lai, children of Smoke and Joe, is the first of many events honoring the 2 champs. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Denise Haley.
As you guys know, this was my last sportscast, and I'd like to wish you both good luck in the future upon graduating from Temple University.
Same to you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
If you're sick of the same old burgers at the same old fast food places, don't bury your head in the sand. Have an ostrich burger. It's lower in fat and cholesterol than chicken or turkey, and just $7 a pound. What more can you ask for? Farming prices are rising, and ostriches require less grazing, pasture, and feed than cattle. California restaurants have already added the bird burger to the menus and say that they're selling well to a lot of curious people. Sister Carrie called the most ambitious theater production to date. This is playing at the People's Light and Theater in Malvern. Christine Engel reports on the man who made it happen.
Louis Lippa, an Obie Award-winning playwright, started his career at Temple. A BS in journalism and an MFA in playwriting prepared Lippa for his life in the theater. Recently, he accomplished a monumental task. He adapted Theodore Dreiser's turn-of-the-century novel, Sister Carrie, into a 2-part, 6.5-hour production.
Today, even as I was writing Sister Carrie, all the time I was writing it, I was writing, now who's going to sit for 5.5 or 6 hours and watch this? And why should they? And why should I be making a novel into a play? All of these questions came into my mind. But I just kept writing.
Sister Carrie tells the story of a naive young woman who moves to the newly industrialized city of Chicago. There she learns of poverty and work, love and disappointment, fame and wealth, and mostly survival. Lipa calls this the story of America.
She created herself rather than let society create her. She defined herself rather than let the traditional ideas of her class and of the again, this man-made society define her. That was her struggle, and that was the struggle of America. America was defining itself. So was Carrie.
Lipa is very proud of the production and has big plans, maybe even Broadway.
No, of course I wanted to be a film. Of course I wanted to go to Broadway, make a smash hit, make a lot of money, be famous, and so on and so forth.
College students can get a bargain. They can get tickets for just $5 for each part by showing up the day of the play to get unreserved tickets. Sister Carrie runs until June 9th. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Christine Engel.
Less than half of college students nationwide graduate within 5 years. According to the Chronicle of Higher Education, Dartmouth College says the top graduation rate at 93.9%. Kansas Wichita State University has the lowest at 6.5%. The reason? Many students take fewer courses because they have to work more to pay for school. And now it's time to take a look at the later side of the news. Here's Sean Murphy and the E-Team.
A hearty hello, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the E-Team. I'm your host, Sean Murphy. As those of you who receive the weekly fan mag already know, this is my last edition of the E-Team, and in keeping with my devil-may-care attitude, I've decided to forgo the usual question of the week reader, VO format, and take the opportunity to air out my feelings. I mean, what are they going to do? Fire me? You know, I've been hearing a lot of talk about this E-Team thing. Now, I don't know where this whole thing got started, but let's dispel any misconceptions. I didn't know that one person constituted a team. I am the E-Team. I'm leaving, and the E-Team is history. My partner, Sean Sperry, probably the best yes man you've ever met. Yes, Sean. No, Sean. Nice shirt, Sean. At least he knows what side his bread is buttered. Adam L., this guy is clueless. I mean, sure, he thinks up a witty rejoinder now and again, but he's not funny. And he refuses to take my advice time and time again. Sheila Sadowski. Hey, every man needs a woman, but I settled for Sheila. Thank God that's over. Oh, and you know, I told Jamie Carney, whatever, on the day that she arrived, that she would never be on the E-Team. And she thought that she could go behind my back to Sean Yes Man Sperry. Well, have you seen that green-eyed Rasputin on my set? I think not. Oh, and to my teachers, Rick Beardsley and Betsy Lebron, you know, Gilligan's leaving this island, and the minnow's going down, Skipper. That about does it. Well, that is unless I mention the update crew. Whew. Talk about people beyond help. Oh, I'm sick of talking to you people. Now back to the news. Are we off?
Oh, great show, Sean. Great show. Really good. Let me get this here. Great show, man. I just can't believe how good you are. Oh, Sean, you're so good. I think perhaps your best. It was that you were so good. You were just, let me get this here for you. You're just so, oh, I'll get that.
I'm going to speak. My words in this studio were harsh, but I felt they were necessary. I meant every word.
Well, it's okay, Sean, really, you were good. You were good.
So great.
Edith, I've been circling Annenberg Hall for approximately half an hour now, and after 32 minutes, a spot miraculously opened up. Odd. By the way, Edith, driving a rental car from the disco era. Not too bad. Smooth ride. Horn works. Edith, I'm hungry. Not a normal hunger, but a spiritual hunger. In fact, a craving. I need twisted, doughy shapes. Perhaps Philadelphia's famous soft pretzels are the answer. Damn good pretzel! And hot! Edith, I've reached Annenberg Hall. It's an odd-shaped building. I like it. I'm here to investigate the death of one Sean Murphy, host of the celebrated TV show, The E-Team. I have an appointment to meet Jerry Denick, the director of the show, and to examine the body. By the way, Diane, I think this is where soft pretzels go when they die.
The popular Nintendo game system will soon drop in price. The electronics giant recently went to court in a price-fixing case. Retailers are now allowed to sell the game set for under the universal price of $99.95. New York Attorney General Robert Abrams says Nintendo threatened to cut off supplies to retailers who lowered the price of the game as little as 6 cents. The company also agreed to mail game owners $5 coupons for its Nintendo software.
It isn't often that kids are told to do whatever they want to do. Molly McCaskey has found a place where kids run the show.
Not often a 5 or 6-year-old drives a bus route for SEPTA or sells you your groceries. Even less likely is the chance they go anchor the evening news. But there's a place in the heart of Philadelphia where kids do these jobs and many more. The Please Touch Museum provides a hands-on learning experience for children 7 and under, although our camera caught some significantly older kids getting a piece of the action.
And not only will they remember it here, when they go home, they say, oh yeah, I was at that museum. A lot of kids say, I was at my museum. And that's what they call it, my museum.
While the Please Touch Museum is a place where kids can satisfy their curiosity, it is also a place where they can explore fantasy worlds. Exhibits like the Space Geode and the Junk Elephant are popular with visitors. And a chance to sneak some porridge away from the 3 bears is an exciting prospect to Goldilocks fans.
No, it's just not an entertainment venue at all. For the adults, I think it is, but for the children, it's a great learning experience that they can't get out of with mommy, daddy, or television, or films, or anything.
Best of all, the Please Touch Museum is totally geared toward the needs of small children. There is not one sharp corner to bump into or small piece to swallow. Parents can rest assured that the museum is child-proof. Safety and fun is the key combination at the Please Touch Museum.
So you see other ways through the children how the exhibits can work and work for them, and that's what we want. That's why we have our gallery staff here, and what they do is they watch the kids.
The Please Touch Museum is more than just a great way to spend an afternoon. It's a chance for kids to interact with the things that they're usually never allowed to touch. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Molly McCaskey.
Reverend Pat Robertson's Christian Coalition is demanding the resignation of the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts. The call to oust John Frohmeyer is in response to the NEA's $25,000 grant for a move that includes homosexual imagery. The group is urging President Bush to back their efforts and has announced a national petition drive asking the Congress to abolish the arts endowment. Frohmeyer defends the move and says he has no comment for the call for his resignation.
A little-known museum in Philadelphia has become a showcase for many controversial artists. Michael Hockman reports.
The Institute of Contemporary Art, better known as the ICA, offers some of the most contemporary exhibits in Philadelphia. Since its creation in 1963, the ICA has been a haven for progressive artists to display their controversial works. Andy Warhol, Cristo, and Robert Mapplethorpe are some of the most famous or infamous artists to display here. Founded by the University of Pennsylvania, the Institute offers an alternative to mainstream paintings, photography, and sculptures. According to ICA spokeswoman Meredith McGee, its walls are reserved for artists of distinction, visionaries who dare to be different.
Basically, there was a need in Philadelphia for an exhibition space of contemporary art. There was no place in Philadelphia to see contemporary art, and that was the idea behind it.
The ICA believes it's there to challenge the public, to make us take a second look, to say, I really like that, or make a face at something too unusual for some to accept.
I think that art should be made available for people to look at, and they can decide themselves whether they like it, whether they don't like it.
Recently, however, the ICA came under heavy fire for sharing such a liberal attitude. After showing an exhibit by the late photographer Robert Mapplethorpe, the ICA was taken to court for displaying the artist's controversial photographs. Mapplethorpe's work often showed nudity and graphic sexual acts which threaten future grants for the ICA. Nevertheless, the ICA continues to thrive with the help of public and private funding.
We also raise most of our own funds through individuals, through corporations and foundations.
So if you've got a taste for the exceptional and the unusual, or even if you're just curious, make a trip to the ICA at 36 and Sansom Streets. You may be shocked, but you won't be bored. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Michael Hoffman.
Well, that almost wraps up this edition of Temple Update, but before we say goodbye, I'd like to say a few words. This is my last show. I'm the last original anchor to graduate, and I would like to thank everyone who ever worked on the show. I can't even begin to explain how much the show has given me. Thank you, Betsy Lebron, for letting me give back. But leaving would not be complete without showing my appreciation, admiration, and gratitude for a man who's become more than an executive producer of this program. I met Rick Beardsley my freshman year, and since then he has helped me grow as a professional and as a person. Whether I was editing a last-minute piece or was being a brat at a party, as you'll see in a minute right there, he has always been there. He believed in me, defended me, encouraged me, and gave me a chance. Rick, you will never know how much you've done for me for this whole operation, and I can't thank you enough. I only hope to make you really proud of me.
And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Victoria Lim. This is her last show, and she's been a great asset to Temple Update, and everyone here appreciates her effort.
Thanks,
and
Chris.
That wraps up this edition of Temple Update. I'm Chris O'Connell.
And I'm Victoria Lim. For Scott, Sean, and the entire Update crew, good luck, have a great summer, and hope to see you next year.
See you next time.